Hey everybody, it's Eric, and this microphone is still shitty. I left it alone for a while, figuring it would turn itself less shitty. Turns out that didn't work. Don't buy a Yeti. Anyway, welcome to our second feeling show. This is More Drinkin' Gimlets with Brian Doherty of Reason Magazine. We talk about politics, we talk about lime juice, we talk about Boy George's beard. So, hey, sit back and enjoy, and remember, this is not safe for work. Okay. Still shitty. Warning, the Army of Drunks is not safe for work. It contains inebriated people talking about horrible things, so please listen responsibly. Warning, the Army of Drunks is not safe for work. It contains inebriated people talking about horrible things, so please listen responsibly. From that secret place in your heart only your therapist knows about. It's another Army of Drunks feeling show with Brian Doherty of Reason Magazine, also Buck Down, Eric Trueheart, and of course Matt Shaw. Now, let's get ready to stumble.
Talking about feelings.
Hey everybody, welcome to Army of Drunks Talking About Feelings. We are
overtime edition.
Overtime. This is last week. You heard us talking to Brian Doherty, editor of Reason Magazine, senior editor of Reason Magazine.
He's been here all week.
Yeah, all week.
Still here.
He's been
won't
crashing on the couch,
eating our Eggos, and you know,
he's lived off of a diet of Funyuns and gin now for 7 straight days.
And by the way, he's never been stronger.
Yeah, he picked a car up off of a baby out in the parking lot, like he just found this magic strength. Could be the Funyuns, could be the gin.
Could be the gin.
We don't know.
Could be the fact he just misses home.
Yeah.
Oh, but by the way, this is still, hang on.
The Army of Drunks, Season 3. We're just getting loaded.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that guy
like
did
that
it right.
guy.
Did we get any more new ones?
No, I burned
still
through our new
building?
ones last show.
Okay.
Yeah.
But once again, this is Eric here, also known as Shaft.
There he is.
Buck is here. Say hi, Buck.
Still here.
Matt's still here.
Yep, right here.
Still a day without a woman.
Yep.
Yep.
Spork is still on strike. Filling in for Mixmaster Therm is TJ, master of all space, time, and cocktails.
Woo.
Hello. Who's been plying us with gin gimlets the entire time.
7 days.
7
7-day
days.
gin and Funyun diet.
Yep. And by the way, I think I've lost 3 stone.
Yeah, I've lost 3 stone, and I have like Doctor Who-like powers.
It's true. So before we get into our big discussion segment, and this is our new format, like every other show, it's called
I
Let's
still
Talk
don't
About
understand
Feelings.
how it works.
It was your idea.
I know, that's the fucked up part.
So
That's the problem.
It's the larger discussion, more free floating and discussion. And this is going to be more about is the future of political discourse completely crippled by the internet and fake news and the bubbles
And
that
is
we all
it
live
partially Brian's fault, or is Brian the warrior at the door? Is he Hodor?
Hodor at the gates of Mordor.
Yeah, Hodor at the gates of Mordor, which I think was like one of the early Sid Barrett records.
So we are still drinking the
gimlet.
The gin giblet.
The gin giblet, and it has got gin, lime juice, and sugar, or Rose's lime juice is the classic.
And white nationalism.
And white nationalism.
This is like a twist. You just
a
zest.
touch. Just a
And
touch.
nationalism.
And a dash of Brexit. So
Don't overdo it.
because we want to get to it, I got a little short segment here because we like to shoot a little education on your face before we
right on the small of the back.
Don't say that. Why'd
Right
you-
on your tramp stamp.
Yeah, and it's
I'm not happy with
It's a little
that.
segment called "What the fuck is Rose's lime juice?"
Really?
Yep, I'm
Okay.
leaving this space here.
I thought we answered this question.
No, we didn't. I
Okay.
started to, and I said I was going to save it for this.
No, that's right. Yeah, no,
So,
I remember now.
As we all know, back in 1753, the British naval doctor discovered citric juice cured scurvy, but preserving it was a
But they were
bitch.
still drinking their own urine and feces. They
Yeah,
had
but
figured
that
out.
wasn't because of scurvy.
That's a long
That
time-
was
no,
because
that-
it made their nipples hard. So vitamin C always broke down in transit, and it was tough to preserve it. So one way was with...
I break down in transit.
Me too.
Well, yeah, but that's why you're not...
Any fucking ride over
you
4
don't
hours.
solve scurvy down.
Sobbing in the back of the bus.
Yeah. So
Just trying to get away from it all.
one of the ways of
He
preserving...
can't touch me here. I'm just gonna start over.
Crying,
My carpet bag.
crying to the Uber guy.
Sir, I'm
Are
only
Uber
giving...
guys like the new bartender? Is like that the
They
new
must
confessional
be. They
booth?
must-
Like,
Sir, I'm only
Oh,
giving you
absolutely.
3 stars, sir. Sir, please get out.
Please
No,
don't.
you only get 1 mint, sir.
Put that back away, sir.
that-
Don't.
yeah.
Sir,
Can I
sir.
drink as many of these waters as I want?
So anyway, as I mentioned
these
last
free?
time, Lachlan Rose figured
Lachlan.
out you could preserve lime juice with sugar and sulfates instead of alcohol or olive oil. They used to like
What?
Well, yeah, you
Lime
could
and
pour a
olive
layer of
oil?
olive oil over your barrel full of lime juice, and you would preserve it.
Jesus God.
I know.
Fuck. It's a wonder we made it to modernity.
I know, how do, yeah.
Oh, come, you know.
Again, these people had no idea that you couldn't just drink the same water that you peed and pooped in. So
Yeah, right.
olive oil's not the.
Well, that's apparently, I mean, that's not where beer came from, but that's where beer was wildly useful.
It's what
where
it
it ended
turns
up.
into.
It's what it turns into. No, the process of making beer kills all of the other stuff in there. So, like, at a time
Like
when
jobs.
clean water, like
like
jobs.
your job and your relationship.
And, yeah. that
Yeah,
too.
no, you're right. At a time when clean water, when the plague was like killing clean, and everyone said, "Well, we can't drink water because it will."
We're just
going
to have to hydrate on beer. So everybody was shithoused. Everybody was day drunk.
But by the way, and in China, they figured out if we boil water, it won't kill us. So everyone had tea, which
Right.
is why China went on to like become this.
Not have cholera.
Yeah, and why Germany went on to come to make videos of people shitting on people. You know, if you were shithoused for 3 to 4 centuries.
That's what you end up with. That's
Yeah.
just where that leads.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about all the people you know. If you were drinking beer instead of water, think of your friends you know who did that. Now imagine
We've
an
been
entire
drinking
nation.
gin and Funyuns for 7 straight days, and we're in tattered rags right now.
Exactly. So 1867, Lachlan Rose said, "Let's preserve the lime juice."
You
with
think he
sugar
was a
and
total
alcohol.
dick with that name?
Lachlan?
Lachlan.
Everyone was named Lachlan back then.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was like Jeff. And he figured if he did that, it'd open a larger market. So he invented what was called Rose's Lime Juice Cordial.
Oh,
I love the word cordial.
cordial.
Yeah.
Incorrigible.
Incorrigible. So the first factory was set up in Leith, Scotland, right by the East Dock, which is where the limes came in and the Royal Navy shipped out.
Oh, that's handy.
Yep.
know,
And eventually he bought some lime groves in the West Indies. And then he got started
I'm
getting
sure
his limes
everyone that
gone.
worked at them was paid a fair wage.
I'm sure
Absolutely.
they were happy. He didn't buy those. He went and decided those lime groves were his.
Yeah.
That's what
Uh-huh.
happens.
And then in 1875, he moved the docks to London.
Okay.
Because, I don't know, center of hub. Then in 1940...
They probably the slave trade probably
Yep.
became.
Then in 1940, he moved the docks out of London because they were being bombed by the Germans.
Okay. That
Just got him the fuck out of London because,
Fuck
like, you know
this.
what? Let's move our lime juice away from the bombs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And basically,
Fucking Krauts.
Jerry's hitting. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
Jerry.
The Blitz.
the Brits were called limeys, by the way, because they drank all the fucking lime juice on their navy. That's dead serious.
Yep.
They drank so much goddamn lime juice, and so lime cordial was a fucking staple in Britain. Big part of the gimlet, which became huge. And it was basically lime, sugar, and a few little other things for years. Now, Schweppes bought the Rose factory in 1957.
Okay.
And then in 1982, I guess Schweppes got all combined with Schweppes Cadbury. Schweppes bought Mott's, got shipped to the U.S. in terms of for the U.S. distribution. So you want to know who makes it in the U.K. now? Who makes Rose's lime juice?
I do.
Coca-Cola.
Fuck.
Coca-Cola
Yep.
makes roses.
And here's the deal. It's different in the U.S. because it is made with
It's
corn syrup.
because
syrup.
America.
Yep, because
America,
America.
corn syrup. We like our
Whereas
corn
in
syrup.
everywhere else in the world, for UK, New Zealand even, made from sugar. Made from
I
real
thought we
sugar.
were supposed to be talking about feelings.
My feeling is I like sugar. Actually,
I feel it is you're loaded.
so here's the deal.
That's all hobbits.
We
there,
all
anyway.
suggest you make your own goddamn lime juice.
Yeah,
You're gonna
no,
Yeah,
make
you
it
can
one.
totally make your own.
So here's what you do: you make your simple syrup. Simple syrup is equal like a cup of sugar and a cup of water. You boil it in a. You don't boil it. You put it in a pan, overheat, and you simmer it low heat.
Simmer it.
And in about 10 minutes, it'll turn into simple syrup. And unless you're a lazy fuck, 10 minutes is nothing to
Well,
you.
if you're a lazy
Yes.
fuck, you're not making your own simple syrup.
no, and then but here's the
You
hard
just
part.
went and got the bottle of corn syrup.
Yep. Get a bunch of limes, a whole bunch, and you squeeze them. You see.
Can you just
Yeah.
buy straight corn syrup?
Not all at
Yeah.
once.
One
at a
That's
time.
too much for
Yeah.
anyone, man.
Yeah, no, that's,
like uncut corn.
No, limes. He
I'm
means
talking about
limes.
squeezing limes. That's a pro tip. You say
know
you
what
got to
that's a
squeeze. You
euphemism
squeeze a bag
for.
of limes.
Yeah.
That's the trick. Don't do your. You know, you need a
Yeah.
little more information there. You got to squeeze them one at a time.
One at a time.
How are we going to segue into politics?
I have
from here?
no.
We're gonna go
fucking
to a
idea.
break.
Oh.
And so you mix equal parts simple syrup with your lime juice. with your unadulterated lime juice, and you will get some really fucking delicious lime juice that if you mix it with your gin, you won't even miss Rose. In fact,
Fuck Rose.
Fuck Rose. Fuck Lachlan Rose. In fact, Mixmaster TJ, Master of all space, time, and cocktails, made some fantastic gimlets using the actual real live lime juice rather than the Rose's stuff. And,
I have a sugar-related memory I would like to share.
Please,
I believe that this story is true. I bought it
in the era of Trump. That's all that matters, motherfucker.
At a dollar store in the late '90s, I believe I bought a very off-brand Rice Krispie treat. Of course, it wasn't like caked rice treat, and I recall that ingredient number one was glucose.
Wow!
As if they were, buying bags from a hospital.
Never. Wow!
Dumping them onto
never
rice.
Start a fight with anyone that buys glucose by the barrel, Brian.
You don't want to know where they bought their rice. Bought the glucose from hospitals. Bought the rice from a feed store.
Glucose by the barrel.
Yeah. All right. So that's segment one, Army of Drugs. Let's talk about feelings. We're going to be right back with Brian Doherty, senior editor of Reason Magazine, and we're going to talk about feelings way more than you want to hear. So stick around.
That's born wet and clear, born in the land of sky blue waters. Then reach for a hands, reach for a hands, hands, the beer you've been looking for. Hands is the beer you've been looking for. Hands, the beer you've been looking for. Reach for a hands, reach for a hands.
Hey everybody, we'd like to thank everyone who donates on our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Army of Drunks. Those people are the good people. Those people are going to heaven. Those people will get big piles of gold under their Christmas tree delivered by Santa himself. If you're not one of those people, hey, maybe you'd like to be. Go to patreon.com/Army of Drunks. That's patreon.com/Army of Drunks and donate $1. Just $1. What are you going to do with that anyway? You don't know. Wipe your nose on it? You don't even know. So donate it to us. You don't even have to give us a real dollar. We got credit cards for that. That's patreon.com/Army of Drunks. Patreon.com/Army of Drunks. Hey, you'll be glad you did. We'll be gladder. Hey, we're back. And while we were gone,
we hope we didn't miss anything with you guys.
Yeah, no. Our bartender, TJ, Master of all space, time, and cocktails, said that these days, Rose's lime juice in America is made by the Kraft Corporation.
The cheese people.
And made in Plano, Texas.
Plano.
Yep, feels very plain.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh, but real quick, Matt, I understand. Do you have something in your craw?
Yeah, that's observant of you. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You're pretty good.
Tell,
you can tell.
I
you
know
can tell
when I
that
got
wasn't
something
right.
on my mind.
Yeah, well, I think that it might be time to ask, what's in Shaw's craw?
What's Shaw's craw? What's Shaw's craw? Something Shaw's craw is eating its way through like a whole fistful of weevils as I eat its way to the flesh and the bone. It's like ideologically just eat as with his hand. Shaw's fucking craw.
Matt?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I may have mentioned before. I'm going back to school. I'm starting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What are you trying to better yourself?
I'm back in college. I'm bettering myself. I figured finish up some stuff and maybe move on forward. And
wow.
Yeah, boy, being a middle-aged guy there,
What?
a bunch of youngsters.
Yeah.
It's
so that's
I'm the old guy in the class.
So it's got to be really hard for you, right?
Well, boy, no, it was harder the first time.
So what you're saying is it's kind of easy.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. if you have it, that's a good piece of advice. If you're thinking about college, wait until you're 45. It's pretty easy now.
Okay.
It's good.
That's what John Craw! That's what John Craw! Went back to college and acted way easier than it was the first time. He doesn't have all that sort of personal baggage that he had the first time. And he's just there alone and only been mistaken for a professor once. John's fucking Craw!
All right. So, hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks.
Glad to have you here. In this little experimental thing we're talking, let's talk about feelings. We're going to take a little sort of a broad topic, and we're going to just discuss it from all of our various points of view, with not so much of an agenda as a question answer, just more of a we're too loaded to actually care.
They did in talk shows back in the day when people still smoked.
Yeah.
Smoked and drank
Gore
on the show.
Vidal, William F. Buckley style.
So, I mean, Brian, you're a political guy. Buck's very political. Matt, political but quiet.
This isn't like the precursor to like we're all gonna have gay sex, is it?
Oh God damn it!
Oh no, God, I hope not.
Yeah.
So I think
I'll be honest. I was a little bit worried about it through this whole week of Funyuns and gin. I mean, I want you guys to know that all the last of the shirts came off 3 days ago. None of them have gone back on.
Yeah,
I think that has more to do with. I think that has more to do with the Funyuns and the gin. But
in the heat, it got a little warm.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I gotta say, a lot less sexy since.
There's actually very not homoerotic.
No.
Like even if we were gay, it wouldn't have been erotic.
We would cease to be.
It's just more like people trapped in an elevator.
Man.
But,
no, I got a body that'll turn you straight.
Yeah. So
now we're gonna. I think. All of this to say, I guess the topic we were going to try to cover is just sort of the poisoning of the public well and the coarsening of the discourse.
The idea is that like
discourse
has political discourse kind of is it ultimately irrevocably fucked in this country, because it feels like once upon a time. Political discord, granted, it happened among...
We're a long way from Gore Vidal, William F. Buckley.
Yeah. It feels like we're at a time when not only are alternative facts and the ability for people to pick their own reality and their own set of facts to a point where everyone does, it feels like there's no common language anymore and there's no common debate floor for people. Everyone not only just picks their own point of view, they so slavishly adhere to it that there's no way for one bubble to talk to another bubble. Yep. And, this came out in the last election where so many people believed things like Pizzagate or believed things like that, Hillary Clinton is satanic or whatnot. And, or the idea that what if Donald Trump actually is driven out of office by some sort of scandal, if the CIA, and they're saying things like, well, clearly that's because, the liberals have conspired to drive him out. And therefore they're going to take their guns and come to the liberal bastions where the tree of liberty will be watered with blood, blah, blah, blah. It feels.
I mean, I've been paying attention to and interested in conspiracy theories and stuff like that for a while.
For at least the last 4 days.
At least the last 4 days now. But
since the gin was replaced with more like a grain alcohol.
You don't have to go back too far. You have to go back, a few years when conspiracy theories, unless you were a parent who lost a child at a school shooting, conspiracy theories were more or less harmless.
Yep.
There were people who believed stuff, and there were people who thought that Columbine was a hoax, and they would call and they would fuck with people who lost children. Mm-hmm. But with the exception of things like that, for the most part, conspiracy theories, it was an amusing, weird part of. Mm-hmm. But they're not harmless anymore.
What I'd be curious, because obviously the luxury of what we have now is a bona fide third-party person, and it feels like as the nation becomes more polarized, as libertarians, you guys are almost like underneath, to sort of like riff off of the Steve Albini thing, like you guys, while there's a truck just blasting raw sewage into the air, it's almost as if you guys in some ways are the ones standing underneath the awning, and I am wondering how this looks as somebody that is an active third-party person, and is somebody that doesn't act like you were saying before, again, off the air, that you don't generally engage in political conversations. So I'd be wondering, I'm wondering, like, A, what's your take on this, A, as a libertarian, as a third party, and B, as somebody that has the self-control to not get involved in these like Facebook link wars.
Yeah, well, the latter, unfortunately, my uninterest in talking in politics, I can really only manifest in real life. I mean, obviously, I'm on Facebook because at this point it's my only connection with
the outside world,
like in any way, shape, or form. But professionally, I am meant to use it to promote my writings about politics. So unfortunately, Facebook, for me and really for everyone, just becomes a place where that's all people want to talk about. And it's difficult to say this without sounding like a complete fucking snide asshole, but I will go ahead and do that. Like, I don't think like people's opinions about politics are generally, well, this isn't that snide. It's certainly the least interesting thing about anyone, including people who like do it for a living like me. And
I feel the same way about music as a musician.
Yeah.
As a professional musician, like the least interesting thing in the world is somebody playing me their song on acoustic guitar.
Yeah, like that people that, and I feel anything about how social networking is saving or destroying the world is very cliche, but it is like I basically live there. Like I live in a world of social networking.
Which is ironic considering if you follow Brian on Facebook, 90% of his posts are about him talking about the hate reading he does of rock and roll biographies.
Yes, because that's what I want. Those are the conversations I want to start. It is unfortunate to me that most people seem to feel obligated to have a strongly felt opinion about every current event or politics thing and to express it. It's to me it's both boring because it just means you're hearing the same thing from whatever it is, whatever side it is, you're hearing it from a dozen people and it's boring and they didn't know anything about it. Like, oh my God, I'm very opposed to the dictator whose name I first heard 2 days ago, and I'm posting about my objection to it.
You feel like maybe some of the
it is.
urgency though, now that it is like we have a bona fide internet troll,
as our president.
Yeah, I mean, I think Matt Taibbi like really nailed it, in saying that like our political system was by its very nature designed to stop something like Trump from happening, and it had atrophied to the point, like every part of it, the press part, the part that we sit around and yell at each other on Facebook, the corporate influence, like every mechanism of American politics has atrophied so badly that it became easy for somebody like Donald Trump to blast through every level that should have stopped him. And now it's at the point where he's there. Do you think it's like are we at a boy that cried wolf level, like where the urgency that we could, should, and are portraying right now may be offset by the fact that we've been like lighting our hair on fire over stupid things for so long?
Yes. I want to go back to something you asked earlier about like the third party aspect of this. Yep. I will tell you that the way I think everyone outside the third party world processes third party's existence is there this weird interruption in what should happen, which is that either the binary is either the Democrat who you think should have won, or the Republican who win should have won. So the only way I find most people who aren't actually libertarians themselves process the role of Gary Johnson in the Libertarian Party is, who did you ruin it for? Like, would Hillary have won if you weren't there, or would Trump have won even more? Like that's the only way they can think of it. So it still feels like a complete sideshow.
So you feel like you guys are?
I gotta cut in. By the way, like last time's show, in order to keep this from getting too heavy, I have set a timer, and when that timer goes off for about 60 seconds, we got to stop talking about politics and start talking about either A, will the robots take over, or B, is Boy George still a boy now that he has a beard, or is he Man George?
So in the back of your head,
you all on notice.
Don't need an answer right away.
I don't want to get this too heavy.
Just make sure, get something in the holster.
All right, anyway, carry on. I was never here.
It is funny to riff off what Matt said earlier, that the conspiracy people, and I have followed that world for a long time, and I've always been entertained by it and interested in it. And I agree with Matt that it seems less entertaining now that we have a president who openly believes in a lot of them, or whatever. There's no way of knowing
for whatever reason,
but openly plays with them. That again, completely irrespective of policy, it is definitely true that most of the conspiracy-minded people I know really love Donald Trump. And they haven't quite wrapped their head around this notion that, like, I believe and have always believed that, like, the U.S. government is this completely malevolent force that is stage managing phony child massacres and knocking down buildings. And I'm really thrilled that this guy who I like is now in charge of it. And it's not like, oh, were you always like a strong believer in trade protectionism? No, I feel like this guy, I think in their heads it's something like, he's gonna blow the lid on whatever it is.
Do you think that's the appeal?
Is that really what it is?
Well, for any conspiracy,
it's not policy. It's not like
obviously,
it's not
yeah.
like it's not because it's people who were right. It's like Roseanne Barr is very pro-Trump now, and she just came from the world, of general left-wingy progressive kookery, and now she's like. He seems like someone, if you have always felt that the system is really fucked.
I guess that is the intersectional.
It's easy to feel like this guy is just going to blow it up.
Maybe,
which he's not.
Or a good chunk of these conspiracies do their foundation. They hinge upon we live in a world where there is a large group of shadowy people. There's a large group of bad people, whether it's the people who did the fake moon landing or whether it's child, Satanist. That they're
running a pizza shop.
You have to accept that exists. That there is an evil. That there's a Hydra, or however you want it. You know what I mean? Like that's. Yeah.
And their standards, their sort of epistemological standards, seem to be nothing more than whatever makes the world seem more bizarre, malign, and frightening. I fucking believe it. Right. Anything that makes it not seem so bizarre, malign, and frightening, I'm extremely skeptical of.
You're a huge dupe for believing it in the first place.
And here's the thing. I think what it is that as we get into modernity and we get into the point where we are in a very information-rich environment. And we can see around a lot more corners than we used to be able to. Like, what was it? Somebody was pointing out, like, with the Bay of Pigs.
Oh, jeez.
Hold on a second.
Hang on. I'm really sorry.
Like,
you get back to that in a minute. We'll get back in a minute. So, Boy George.
Yeah.
Last time we saw him, I saw him. He's got a beard now.
I'm going to forget it.
He's got a beard. And can we still call him Boy George, do you think? Or is he really, at this point, Man George?
It's up to him. I'll call him what he wants to be called.
Really? That's as far as you're going to go, Matt? Boy George, Man George, or Boy George, or Man George?
I'm torn on that. I'm of two minds, which means I can't think of it.
You don't care.
I feel like once you crest 50, like that was probably the tipping point. Like once Boy George got into his 50s, he's like middle-aged George.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
I don't know, though.
I don't know.
Like, if he shaved and wore the makeup, though, here's the real question.
The euphemism of beard as it applies to gay people notwithstanding.
Right, fair enough.
without going down there.
Right.
I don't think the beard was the issue. I think it's an ages.
But I'm gonna go out on the limb and say there's maybe a almost physical semantic issue, which is that not semantic, but if he's got the beard, wearing that layer of makeup becomes that much more difficult. Right,
yeah.
so once upon a time,
it's less surface area you got to cover.
But you could create that image of like I'm forever
makeup?
young. Yeah, he still does, but he wears makeup with a beard, and that to me, I don't think that's going to work for him. I think he's Man George. I think from this point on, we're going to have to call him Man George. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think you're getting any opposition on that. Yeah, I think I'm not going to argue too strongly against that.
All right, I'm sorry. Go on, everyone. Go back to what you were talking about.
Let's see how much I can reconstruct after that detour. But no, I think the point I was trying to make was before our conspiracy theories, I feel like we're a product of a lack of information and a lack of education. And I think we have moved to like a Dow opposite side of that, where the too much information, somehow it's easier to believe the simple scary thing than the banal scary. Like when you can see the dick going into your ass, like you're being fucked,
through
and
an
it's
elaborate
transparently
series of
obvious.
mirrors.
I think that there is a certain level of it is easier. It's almost like this willful self-denial to grasp on a different kind of evil that's more disconnected.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe what people reflexively do.
What I want to see is multiple pictures of multiple dicks entering multiple asses with red circles around a couple of them that clearly show it's the same dick.
It's the same.
Come on.
Do you want these all on a bulletin board connected by pieces of string?
Wake up, sheeple.
But what's
Wake up,
interesting
sheeple.
too
It's
is
the same.
that like it's interesting that people focus on the things that don't actually affect their lives, which is in terms of like this idea that there's a child pornography ring or a child being run
That's
of a
a
pizza
great point.
joint.
Like it's all entertainment. Like anyone's
Yeah.
thoughts about anything
Well,
that's
because
not like their life, their job, or their family. It's just a show that they're watching.
Well, and
as
it's like,
opposed
it's
to,
a much
like-
more interesting show if there's a pedophile ring running out
this
of
is
the
why-
As opposed to like this company is paying this politician so I
Yeah.
can open a factory in China
Right.
and not pay any tariffs.
And this is
which
why
fucks our jobs.
I think this is, if you drill down to it, this is why Donald Trump is the president of the United States right now, because he is us. Like if you were to take the sum total of the noise that happens in social media and like all of us, like if you were to boil down and distill America to a greatest common denominator, it is fucking Donald Trump. Like this is not a bug. This is a feature. Like we are at a point now where like literally if you like just distill down any comment section to any fucking Facebook thing, you get Donald Trump. Like I think that's
Sweet Trump.
like you really is. I don't know that it's more complicated than that. And I think that this idea that we can as a like, and you can go into why, like, we can now reality shop. Like, there's a bunch of, like, little butterfly moments that get us to the point where we now all live in the bubble where we can literally create reality. And now you have a president that openly on a daily basis has chosen to claim the ability to define reality as however he sees it,
Yeah.
in the total absence
Today.
of being able to have. It's just like every fucking drunk guy at the end of every airport bar that can spout off about anything. And as long as there's no follow-up questions and you don't press him too hard to buttress that with hard facts, just the fact that he belched it out the
You're
loudest.
getting on that plane with some questions.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, we literally have gotten to the point in society where it's not important anymore to like have to back up anything. And I think this goes
Yeah.
across the ideological spectrum.
Yeah, because in that analogy, you're getting on that plane with some questions, and you're going to pass out, and you'll forget all of those questions. It's just entertainment.
Brian, you look like you're trying to say something.
Sorry.
No, not right now.
Okay. Yeah,
We
to
gotta
me,
get Brian out of here,
I know,
too.
and
He's
to
gotta
me
be
it
at the
feels
House
like,
of
But it
Pies.
feels like this idea, this whole empowerment of the individual thing, which is been the guiding force of the tech business for about 2 decades. From you go to Apple of like, hey everybody, soon you will be able to shoot your own movies with our software, or you're putting you in Facebook is all about choosing your own friends, your own thing. This idea, the empowerment of the individual, I feel like has reached a certain point beyond where experts no longer have any meaning, and everyone feels like they have been so empowered by a society that is all about catering to them that they reject anything that doesn't do exactly
Is
that.
there? Yeah. What's the libertarian angle on that? Because
I am for all empowering technologies. I agree that you can parse out their social effects and go, I don't like some of them, but still, I don't think that's an adequate reason to prevent the expansion of our powers and abilities. Now, I think really the problem might be more that we know more than we used to and more than we want to about what everyone thinks.
So here's a question. I want to pose this to everybody, and to get, because this is the $1 million question of the year.
Yeah.
And we'll start with Brian. You guys go in and chime in too.
Okay.
Which is how.
Oh, geez.
Hold on a second.
All
Let me
right.
finish the question.
Hang on that question.
Do you think?
Yeah?
How smart do you think? Like, how premeditated and smart do you think Donald Trump is in this? Do you think like all these distractions and the thing where he wakes up in the morning and has the crazy idea? Is this a device that he's using? Or is it just like a knee-jerk reflexive thing that has nothing behind it other than your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving with the weird conspiracy things? Do you think that there is, like, because the conspiracy theory amongst some people is that this is, like you were saying, the distraction to keep us from like, oh, we're going to get fucked on some level, but we're going to argue about this weird thing instead.
And by the way, after you answer that question, could you please answer, who do you think would win in a fight, Bruce Lee or Iron Man?
Who do you think can shut that fucking noise off?
You know, this was our idea to not be a bunch of pretentious assholes, and we've become a bunch of pretentious assholes. So,
Well, I am curious to answer the question.
Okay.
Play the hand you're dealt.
Go ahead, or I will. I lean toward the crazy uncle theory. I think the mastermind theory is like a conspiracy, unevidenced conspiracy theory of the left and Iron Man.
You think Iron Man will beat Bruce Lee?
Yes.
Okay.
I tend to agree. There might be people involved in the process. I mean, people might be involved in the administration who are trying to play it as, or trying to figure out how to play. There's other people around
Using
who are-
this as a target of opportunity, the
Yes,
useful idiot.
But I think the individual himself, I really don't think it's a. I don't really don't think it's an act.
Bruce
I
Lee
think-
or Iron Man?
Bruce Lee or Iron Man?
What do they need
All
to
right,
do?
all right, okay,
No,
hang
what
on.
do they ask me again? What do
In
they
a
need
fight, Bruce Lee or Iron Man?
to do? It's
not
I'm
that
afraid it's
hard.
going to have to be Iron Man.
All right, let me ask you this: Bruce Lee in an Iron Man suit,
Oh, versus
Iron
Tony
Man in a Bruce Lee suit.
Oh, that's a far better question. Brian, do you want to change your answer?
Oh, Bruce Lee is Iron Man.
that's
Whoever
gonna be
has
Bruce
the
Lee
suit,
as Iron
okay?
Man. Whoever has the suit,
Even with
yeah, because
even with like okay, but he doesn't have the schematics. He just got in it.
Yeah, he just got it.
Okay.
He just got it.
He's learning on the
and-
job.
Well,
all right,
he
all right.
could-
Well, Iron
the suit-
Man's not in a Bruce Lee suit. Iron Man's an Iron Man
the
suit.
suit, the suit
Brian
is
just shook
Just
his
got
head.
the suit.
the suit is an extension of his body, and if anyone in the world was just just an expert at mastering use of his own body,
You're gonna say Bruce
it's
Lee.
going to have to be Bruce Lee.
It's
Yeah.
tough because there's a learning curve on that suit. I know you've got Jarvis in there.
I think he's going to be quicker on the learning curve than your average person.
Absolutely.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
You.
I will say this.
Mastermind or crazy uncle?
I think Crazy Uncle, and here's why I think why. It is so difficult to mastermind shit. And by all accounts, everyone on the inside of Donald Trump it says that he's basically a narcissist and basically maybe even insane on his own hair growth medicine. And
I like the untreated syphilis theory.
I haven't gotten
that is
that
a fun
point.
theory.
But all conspiracy theories about his medication aside, he is clearly a man who spent he was born into wealth. He has spent his life running a business as a millionaire and been surrounded by yes men dependent on him for their paychecks.
Yeah.
He's never had anyone say no.
Yeah.
And his use of social media has been basically reinforcing his own ego. And I think it's a little bit scarier to think, well, I don't know if it's more scary or less scarier. It's actually, in a way, kind of comforting to think that he's just a crazy egotist who kind of behaves himself, but then he goes away to Florida and none of his handlers are around him. He tweets something batshit crazy.
Have
like,
you seen
Yeah,
the?
that's-
Okay,
you know,
have you seen?
occurred to
So
me-
there's a fingerprint now. There are two phones that post. There's an Android phone and an iPhone.
And the iPhone belongs to the staff.
That somebody actually did have you ever seen the word clouds? Like where you take something and a robot sits there and distills the most
Right.
commonly used words
Yeah.
in a set of metadata.
Yeah.
And the more the word repeats, the bigger the word gets
Yeah.
in it so that you can see it that way.
Right.
So somebody actually went through and did two word bubbles based on the streams off the Android phone and off the iPhone.
Right.
And it's amazing the chasm between these ones because there's the staff one is
Yeah.
the iPhone.
Yeah.
And that one looks like
That's party
pretty much
line
any
stuff.
president you would expect to see. It's women's issues. It's this. It's
Yeah.
very down the middle of the road. But then when you look at the Android phone, it just looks like if you just took
crazy person.
every fourth word out of something that has 4 forwards in it,
Yeah.
and a chain email that you got from your crazy
It straight
uncle,
up is.
It's the same cloud that you would see.
Yeah. No,
and also, by the way, Bruce Lee in the Iron Man suit versus Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit. God, I think Tony Stark's got a window of about 15 minutes to take him out.
I thought Tony Stark was
Oh,
going to
in
be
a Bruce Lee
suit.
Is he wearing? Is he wearing the
Whoa,
yellow?
no one told me
the
that.
yellow
Yeah,
jumpsuit.
the yellow one. That's what I was.
Oh, he's
jeez.
toast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he's lost.
Yeah,
Bruce Lee's
that's where
got
I
it.
was coming
Bruce Lee's
from
got
on
it.
that.
Yeah,
Tony
Bruce Lee's
Stark
got
in a
it.
bar fight. Tony Stark, I might be able to take Tony Stark in a bar fight.
But he's gonna pull his phone out and call in somebody to
no.
come and
Calling a
fuck you.
helicopter to
So,
kill you.
okay,
Yeah.
no, going back to the question we all thought we were answering.
Yeah.
Stark in the suit,
Yeah.
Bruce Lee in the suit, day one. Like he just got in the suit. No owner's manual.
I think Tony Stark's got a good 2-hour window.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bell
Yeah.
curve. There's
Yeah.
a bell curve to it.
Yeah.
Got a good 2-hour window to win that fight.
I don't
But
know that
after
it's
that, really, you think it's less or more?
Yeah, I don't, here's the thing. Never, like we're all basing this off the 3 Iron Man movies, and then there's a couple Avengers.
Avengers movies.
What's the other guy? Don Cheadle figured out the suit in a relatively short
But he's
order.
but
he's no
a
Bruce Lee.
No, but he's a soldier. You know,
Yeah.
He was.
dealt
Yeah.
with hardware.
Look, I'll make this simple. Don Cheadle versus fucking Bruce Lee in a bar fight. You want to take those bets?
Oh, I'm not taking no
Fucking
Don Cheadle the actor or Don Cheadle the character he's
Either
playing.
one.
No,
Either
it's
one.
Bruce Lee. It's fucking
It's
Bruce Lee.
I feel like Tony Stark puts him away. I think you're right. I think you're onto something with that 15-minute window, and I think Tony Stark is working from a place of urgency because he knows he's fighting.
That's what I was
Yeah.
about to say. It's
He
a place
knows
of
he's
urgency.
fighting
As
Bruce
long as as long as Stark puts it away early on.
Yeah.
If he lets
If this
the fight,
goes longer than 15 minutes, he's fucked.
if he lets the fight go too long, yeah, it's going
No,
to turn
Bruce Lee's
around
gonna
on
figure
him.
it out, and he's gonna
Yeah.
bring a lifetime of martial
Yeah.
arts training to that,
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
he's.
By
fucked.
the way, that's the Avengers movie I want to see. Like,
I'm
even
real
with
sorry.
somebody that
We
looks
gotta
like-
start. We gotta get
Carrie
back
Fisher.
to politics. I'm real
Oh
sorry.
shit! This is politics, Bell.
Yeah, that's a politics bell. So let's wrap it up here because I know Brian's got to go. My question is: are we so irrevocably? Are we all so in our own little castles that there's just the idea of any kind of political consensus these days is
Is
hopeless?
the question is, are we done? Are we done here?
Or is the new paradigm so chaotic that we can't even predict it yet?
Yeah. I mean, it's always struck me as extremely peculiar that we have such a close partisan division. And even remember that, first of all, mostly like 45% of the people aren't voting at all.
Right.
But of the 55% who do, that it's always so close. Like, why is there such a nearly even division between these increasingly...
Is there something simpler than a
it's
binary
strange.
choice?
I mean,
it's because it's
obviously,
a
like-
binary choice.
It's also, we don't have a
there's
parliamentary
no reason why
system.
it couldn't be an 80-20 binary choice where it's like, yeah, well... There's that 20% who are completely insane or who are completely right, and the 80,
the simple
doesn't seem
the answer
easily
to that is a
predictable.
two-party system would have weeded that phenomenon out a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean,
think
it's true. It's a fact. There must be some reason for
if
it,
somebody
but-
lost 80-20 for a while, their party would disappear. It
Right.
would be like the Republican Party in California. Like that's
true.
what happens when you
Right.
get
And
into the wilderness and you don't come back.
The range of ideas is probably in the 45% who don't bother voting. One thing, we probably evolved. This is the way we interpret the terrors of the social networking age. It's like we evolved to interpret social signals just like we evolved for all of our traits in a world where we only receive signals from family and tribe. So we're probably very hardwired to greatly exaggerate the importance of every signal we receive. So my hope is that the fact that social networking reveals to me that the world is completely full of utter lunatics is just me taking things more serious. It's like you see the things where, oh my God, 4 people tweeted that they're really pissed that there's a black person in Star Wars. That means there's like this movement of people angry.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
nah,
So much of that is
maybe
one-
not. Like, unfortunately, we live in a world where every asshole anywhere can communicate with the whole fucking world. We did not live in that world until like 10 years ago.
We used to-
We're
we
not
and we
equipped
have
to
not
handle
yet
it.
It's
developed
the death of-
mechanisms, the cognitive mechanisms to actually filter
It's
that
the
out on a
death
useful level.
of the
Yeah.
curatorial class. Like it's what was that book called? Culture Crash.
Yeah.
It's the what happened is our system eliminated all the people that were professional judges of things.
Right.
Like whether it was the guy that was the food critic or whether it was the guy that ran the video store that picked out the movie
would go,
that said,
"What
hey,
should I
this is
see?" Yeah.
this is a movie you should see, or the guy that used to fucking review records, or
Yeah.
go down the line. When we got rid of all of those jobs and replaced it with fucking a comment section in Yelp, that's where it went to shit.
No, but
That's a
what
good point.
Brian is saying is that as a race, we will evolve, as a culture, whatever, not as a race, not evolution, but we will evolve to each of us develop our own discernment to look at that, to tell the difference between.
To know what bullshit is.
To know that the 4 people are upset about. Right now, there's an entire clickbaited industry
Yeah.
based around like this idea that Umbridge, that 4 people are upset over the Black Spider-Man. Therefore, this is a huge movement, and you will click on
Well,
the
that's-
thing.
it's- yeah.
But hopefully, with any sense to us, we will evolve to a point where that we filter that stuff out as individuals, and we say just because I'm looking on whatever this ridiculous website that says that people are upset about this thing that 4 people were upset about in the comics section. This means a movement of people with guns who are going to burn down our cities.
False equivalency. Like we have allowed
more people
whatever,
need to learn what a false equivalency
there's
is.
almost like a way that you can amplify your voice
Yeah.
by saying the crazier thing.
Sure.
I think that's the problem. It's that, yes, it's 4 people, maybe, in a room full of 100 people, 96 of them have no problem with the black character in Star Wars, but the 4 that do, because their idea is so goddamn fucking crazy, it seems louder. Because what we've done is because you have that 96% of people for whom this is not even a thing, if it's not a thing for you, you're not going to be the one out in the trenches fucking banging a gong over it.
Right.
You know? But if you
yeah.
light your hair on fire now over something, and especially if it's something really ridiculous, like, why do you think there are more people now that are out there? Like, there are fucking people talking about the world is flat again. Like,
Yeah, when did that shit start?
yeah, it's because the
year and a half
idea
ago.
is so fucking amazing that like somebody like a grown ass fucking adult would think that now. Just the notion that a fucking grown ass adult thinks that now sucks the oxygen out of the room, because not only we're not looking at that person and going, that's an interesting idea. Our attention to them is the incredulity that you believe something so insane, and it's our incredulity is mistaken for a legitimate
paying attention.
normalizing
Well,
the idea itself.
The 100
because we
people-
paid attention to it.
The 100 people analogy. I mean, the problem is the 100 people analogy. The best response to the 4 guys in the room who don't want a black guy in Star Wars, the best response is to let them finish talking and sit back down. That's wildly unsatisfying. Yeah. I want to convince this person that you're wrong.
It's
and
true.
then
We all have
and
to
then
scream
now
how
we're all
insane they
talking
are.
about that. Now that's what the conversation is about, is whether
There's
or not
the
there should
fucking
be a black
problem.
guy in Star Wars. When the correct response is, are you done? Sit down. We're moving on.
Right.
But that's unsatisfying.
Right.
Matt Shaw just nailed-
primally unsatisfying.
Yeah.
We got to wrap this up. So, Brian, I'm going to give you the last word on this, if you can get a word in edgewise.
What is it we're talking about?
I don't even fucking know.
I don't know where
All right.
I derailed this.
Yes.
The thing about the Earth is flat. I do have something to say about that. I mean, it becomes fun because a lot of us, even if we're like somewhat educated and we do understand on some level that, of course, the Earth is round, we might not necessarily be able to like, hey, and it's because, well, the thing and the shadow and
I've been in an airplane before.
I don't really remember, but yeah, and then of course, then it's like, oh yeah, you got a lot to stand on, Mr. Spinning Globe through
Mr.
space.
Round Earth.
Yeah,
You're lucky you'd fall right off the bottom of that.
You can't debunk even 30 of our 200, and there's literally a list out there which you must find the 200 reasons why the Earth is flat.
Oh, I'm gonna look
200
it
of
up.
them.
Yeah.
Most of which have to do with like, I look at boats going over the horizon a lot, I think, and it doesn't look like what you say it should look like, and it's the same boat.
All right. This is still the Army of Drunks Talking Funny podcast.
We all get to go home now and see our families and eat solid food
No,
again.
you got one more segment, folks, and we'll be right back.
When that special someone comes your way, let those champagne moments fill your day. Make love happen every time you get together.
Champagne tastes like a light, bubbly wine. Something like champagne without the high price tag.
Share those special moments with sparkling champagne.
The sparkling malt liquor from Iroquois brand.
Okay, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we've been talking to Brian Doherty, senior editor for Reason Magazine, who's been very kind to drink our gin. And we have this little segment we call Name That Sex Act, which is more like Sex Act That Name, which is where we take some of the phrases we've been talking about
Should somebody want to explain how this works
throughout the show. I'm doing that right now.
right,
Pay attention. All right, so we're going to get some terms, and it's up to us to come up with what is the sex act that term describes. So, for example, what is the sex act known as the Ayn Rand? I've got one for this.
Okay, let's hear it.
That's when two people in the same room masturbate, then congratulate themselves afterwards for being superior to everyone else.
Yeah, see, that's a good one.
What is the sex act known from the last show as the Andy Rooney?
It's a lemon party where everybody argues about the process of sex for 60 minutes, but nobody ever actually has penetrative sex.
All right. What is the sex act known as the Black Spider-Man?
There is no Black Spider-Man.
Is there going to be a Black
Yeah,
Spider-Man?
there is.
When was there a Black Spider-Man?
Right in the comics recently, there's a black kid who put on the Spider-Man outfit when Peter Parker was
really?
gone. Yeah, there's one of the Marvel universes.
I like how you just it's everybody knows this shit.
There was someone in the Marvel universes, Peter
I
Parker
think it's awesome.
checked out, and a black kid put on the Spider-Man outfit. And by the way, Stan Lee said one of the greatest things about Spider-Man is that a kid from any race could pretend to be Spider-Man because you can't see his face under the mask.
It is true.
But the costume doesn't
Do
make
people
him
get
Spider-Man.
shitty about Black Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, people got real shitty about Black
Fucking-
Spider-Man.
Wait,
But wait a minute.
how
Maybe
does
like
the-
3 guys got real shitty about Black Spider-Man. The rest of them think everybody got real shitty
Yeah,
about Black
I'm
Spider-Man.
pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. So what is the sex act known as
No,
the
wait a
Black
minute.
Spider-Man?
I need to know.
The Punisher.
Does
We know what the Punisher is.
I know.
does the
What?
the Spider-Man outfit doesn't give him his powers? Does he? I
haven't
haven't read it
that
in a
arc.
while.
I have not read
Unless
that
it's
arc.
a Venom, because Venom
it ain't fucking Iron Man. You
the-
get in
the
that
powers
fucking
were in the
lycra
suit.
suit.
I have not read that arc.
You're just an asshole in a lycra
All right,
suit
well,
until you get bit by the
We'll have
spider.
to get into that. Yeah, that's the thing. Radioactive.
I don't know.
Spider,
Maybe it was
yeah.
engineered by S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't fucking know.
Could
I didn't
be.
read it. So
Could be. Okay, fine.
I can't
Sorry.
answer that. No,
Sorry
no,
to
I'm not
derail us there.
not shaming you for asking, but I don't have an answer.
Shaming you for other reasons.
I'm shaming you for that shirt, Shaw.
Yeah, well.
What is the sex act known as the Black Spider-Man?
Don't be racist.
Okay, wait a minute. So you
I
need
got
8
it.
legs, so you got to get 4 guys, 4 guys stacked on top of each other.
Oh, that's a good
All right, I was
One
gonna
guy
say-
lays flat face down, and then he gets penetrated by the butt by the guy turned slightly off axis.
Okay.
and then you get enough of them stacked into each other
4 gay guys in a chain.
in
so
a stack,
8 black legs.
face down,
Yes.
face down. So you now have
You got
enough
your 8
arms
legs
and legs
going
to have.
on. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
The last one is what is the sex act known as the Rand Paul?
Brian, you want to take that one?
I'm not good at this game, I'm afraid.
No one's good at this game.
No,
All right, I'm going to
And
say the
here's
Rand
the problem
Paul.
is
Say it.
when you are good at this game, it's terrible. Like what you just saw.
You don't
I would
wanna-
have been good at the
You're
game.
a horrible
wanna need
It's
person.
bad. You'll feel good about yourself.
I'm going to say the
afterwards.
Rand Paul is anytime you put a lot of hair gel in your pubic hair, so it's these very curly locks.
No, it's
Yeah.
when your dad was really good.
Oh,
Here it
Jesus.
is.
Here it
It's
goes.
when your dad had a rep and be really good at fucking somebody over, and then you came in and did a half-ass job of it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we were letting you have been listening to the Army of Drunks Talking Funny podcast experience. Thank you, Brian, for putting up with us for
Thank
this
you very
long.
much, man.
Thank you so much.
And,
it was worth the years of wait.
And thank you, Matt Shaw. Thank you for listeners. Thank you, Mix Master TJ, Master of All Time Space and Cocktails. By the way, check out Brian's work on Reason.com. It's much better
yes,
than
check out Reason.
we
He wrote
are.
an absolutely. I will. This is. I have read many books in my days. One of my. I put this publicly in my top 10 Desert Island books is Brian's book on Burning Man. This is Burning Man. It is probably the book I have actually reread more than almost anything. What was the Radicals for Capitalism?
Yeah, it's Radicals for Capitalism, A History of American Libertarianism, Ron Paul's Revolution, and Gun Control on Trial are my 4 books.
He's a great
All
follow
available
on
Amazon.
Facebook if you can find him. And
And don't judge him by name that sex act. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from Hell's Heart,
we stab at thee.
good night.
This has been another Army of Drunks Talking Funny podcast experience. Hey, our website is armyofdrunks.net. We got show notes there and stuff. Check out our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/armyofdrunks. And look for us on Facebook. You can search it. You're a grown-up. And remember, all of this is copyright 2017. Army of Drunks.